The studio is buzzing, applause rolling in waves, laughter popping from every corner like it's just another big TV night. But everyone in that room knows today isn't normal. People clap, they cheer, they smile for the cameras. Yet there's a nervous edge underneath it all, a sense that something is about to break the routine. Tonight doesn't feel like a debate meant to entertain. It feels like a moment where someone is going to cross a line, and no one is quite sure who will walk out in control. The moderator opens with the usual script: economy, healthcare, foreign policy, safe ground, neutral ground. Still, the cameras won't sit still. They keep cutting to Donald Trump, leaning back with that familiar smirk, then snapping to Joe Biden, upright and quiet, eyes forward. The crowd senses it. This isn't going to stay civil. The smiles are tight, the laughter delayed. Everyone knows something sharp is coming, even if no one says it out loud. Trump doesn't wait for permission. He hijacks the opening seconds like they belong to him, pointing across the table before the moderator can finish a sentence. "Look at him," he says, loud enough to swallow the room. "They dragged him in here like a museum exhibit." A few people laugh, then stop. Trump presses harder, talking over the moderator's protest. He can't run a sentence. He can't run a country. And they want him debating me? He shakes his head, scoffs, performs for the cameras. This is what desperation looks like. The jab isn't subtle. It's meant to embarrass, to shrink, to frame the night as a mismatch before it even starts. Trump keeps the pressure on, stacking insults like bricks. "I build empires." He reads cue cards, he says, waving a dismissive hand. "This isn't a debate. This is charity." The room stiffens. Some audience members shift in their seats. Others stare straight ahead. Trump grins wider, sensing control, feeding off the noise he's creating. He cuts Biden off before he can speak, mocking the pause. "See? He's buffering." The moderator tries again to regain order, but Trump barrels through, louder now, daring anyone to stop him. Biden doesn't flinch. He doesn't interrupt. He lets the insults land and pile up, lets Trump burn through his opening like it's unlimited airtime. Biden's stillness becomes its own statement. When Trump finally pauses, just a breath, just enough, Biden leans forward slightly, not angry, not rushed. "You can keep performing," he says, voice steady, almost flat. "You're good at that." Trump snorts, ready to pounce, but Biden keeps going. "But I didn't come here to trade insults. I came with facts." The room goes quiet, not shocked, focused. Trump's smile tightens for a beat, and the audience feels the shift. Trump finally pauses, not out of courtesy, but because his breath runs out. The silence that follows is sharp, almost physical, like the room just inhaled all at once. Joe Biden takes that split second without asking, leaning forward, as if he's been waiting for it. The moderator starts to speak, then stops, sensing it's too late. This isn't a transition between segments. It's a seizure of the floor. The audience feels the switch immediately. The night stops sounding like a show and starts sounding like a hearing. "You want truth," Biden says, calm and steady, eyes fixed across the table on Donald Trump. "Then let's start at home." The words land and stay there. No laughter follows. No applause rushes in to soften the moment. Biden keeps his voice level, almost conversational, which somehow makes it hit harder. "You keep saying fake like it's a spell," he adds, "like if you repeat it enough, facts disappear. Tonight, it won't work." A few heads in the audience nod instinctively, not cheering, recognizing. Trump shifts in his chair, already bristling, already looking for an opening to bulldoze through. Biden doesn't give him one. "Let's talk about the brand you sell as family values," Biden continues, not rushing, not blinking. Not the slogans, not the photo ops, the actual product. The word product hangs in the air. The cameras tighten. Trump's smirk thins, just enough to notice. Trump lunges for the interruption, waving his hand like he can brush the moment aside. "Oh, here we go, another witch hunt," he says, loud and mocking, trying to pull the room back to his rhythm. Biden cuts straight through it without raising his voice. "No," he says, sharp and precise. "A receipt hunt." The audience murmurs. Trump laughs too loudly, shakes his head. "You've got nothing," he he snaps. This is fishing. Biden doesn't flinch. You don't cast unless you know the water, he replies evenly, and you don't panic unless you recognize the hook. Trump leans forward now, voice climbing, the calm swagger cracking into irritation. You're desperate, he fires back. You can't talk policy, so you're slinging mud. Biden doesn't slow down. He speeds up, tightening the cadence, denying Trump the pauses he needs to hijack the moment. I'm not talking policy yet, Biden says. I'm talking credibility. He gestures lightly toward Trump. You sold this country an image. Perfect family, perfect loyalty, perfect values. I'm asking how much of that was marketing. Trump tries to jump in again, louder, sharper, but Biden finishes first every time. Answer the question, Biden says, firm but controlled. Don't perform. The word perform cuts deep. The audience shifts, sensing the jab for what it is. The moderator glances down at their notes, then back up, clearly losing control of the segment. Trump's jaw tightens. His fingers tap the table. He's no longer directing the pace. He's chasing it. This isn't about insults, Biden continues, voice steady, almost cold. It's about the record. It's about what you say, what you sell, and what you expect people not to question. Trump scoffs, tries to laugh it off again, but it comes out strained. You're reaching, he says. Biden nods once, as if acknowledging the line. That's what people say, he replies, right before they're asked to explain. Biden doesn't raise his voice or rush the moment. He lets the silence stretch until it becomes uncomfortable, until the audience realizes this pause isn't accidental. It's deliberate. Then he speaks, slow and clear, like he wants the words to echo. Ivanka. He stops. The room tightens. Jared. Another pause, heavier this time. The perfect couple. The air feels sucked out of the studio. Cameras immediately cut to Donald Trump, whose confident smirk stiffens for a split second before he forces it back. The audience doesn't clap. They don't laugh. They wait. Biden keeps his eyes locked forward, tone steady but cutting. That marriage isn't a fairy tale, he says. It's a shield. A low murmur rolls through the crowd. Biden leans in just a bit. A public shield built to hide conflicts, money routes, access deals, influence trading. Trump shakes his head, scoffs loudly, trying to poison the moment. This is insane, he mutters. Biden doesn't look at him. That marriage isn't just personal, he continues. It's operational. He lets the word sink in. It's how you launder reputations while moving power. Trump bursts into a laugh that sounds forced even to his own ears. This is crazy, he says, waving his hand. He's confused again. Total nonsense. A few people chuckle out of reflex, then stop when no one else joins in. Biden turns his head slightly now, meeting Trump's eyes. I'm not confused, he says flatly. I'm precise. The contrast hits hard. Trump's grin flickers. His jaw tightens. He leans back, arms crossed, defensive. The screens behind them light up without warning. A silent montage begins to roll. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner at galas, state dinners, global summits. Perfect lighting, perfect smiles, perfect angles. Biden gestures toward the images without turning around. Glossy, he says. Curated. Perfect. He pauses, then adds, that picture isn't meant to tell the truth. It's meant to stop questions before they start. Trump leans forward, voice sharper now. You're reaching, he snaps. This is garbage. You're smearing my family. Biden doesn't flinch. No, he replies calmly. I'm describing a product. The word lands like a slap. The audience murmurs louder. You sold a brand, Biden continues. Family values, loyalty, clean hands. He glances at the screen again. And while people were busy admiring the picture, power was moving quietly in the background. Trump pounds the table once, just enough to be heard. This is disgusting, he says. You've got no proof. Biden nods, almost sympathetically. Funny thing about shields, he says. They only matter when there's something you don't want hit. The line draws a sharp intake of breath from the audience. The moderator shifts in their seat, clearly uneasy. Biden's voice stays controlled as he tightens the screws. This isn't about love stories, he says. It's about cover. He lets the montage keep rolling a few more seconds, the smiles now feeling strained under the weight of his words. The more perfect the image looked, Biden adds, eyes back on Trump, the better it worked at keeping people from looking underneath. Trump opens his mouth to interrupt again, but no one's listening anymore. Biden doesn't pile on. Instead, he slows it down, lowers the temperature just enough to make the room lean in closer. Here's the why, he says, voice steady, almost instructional. He frames it like a system, not a scandal. Optics first, then loyalty, then leverage. You don't build a family image, Biden adds, eyes fixed on Donald Trump. You build a firewall. A murmur runs through the audience. Biden continues without blinking. And when someone tries to look behind it, you don't argue. You punish. He lists it calmly. NDAs, quiet settlements, access cut off, careers stalled. Not accusations screamed into the air, but a method laid out piece by piece, the way someone explains how a machine works. Trump shifts, sensing the danger in the tone. This isn't noise he can drown out. He tries to yank the conversation back to safer ground, waving toward the moderator. The moderator jumps in, grateful for the opening. Let's return to the economy, they say, voice tight, almost pleading. Biden turns to them briefly, then back to Trump. This is the economy, he says flatly. Influence has a price tag. The line lands hard. The audience goes quiet again, realizing there's no exit ramp tonight. Trump scoffs, muttering about distractions, but Biden doesn't follow him there. He keeps the frame tight, refusing to let the subject slip. Then Biden reaches down beside his chair. He doesn't lift anything high. He doesn't wave it around. He just taps a thin folder once with his fingers, enough for the cameras to catch it. Timelines, he says, public statements, visitor logs. Trump leans forward despite himself. Biden adds, deal patterns, shell links. He pauses, letting each phrase stack. Not theories, he says finally. Patterns. The word hangs in the air longer than any insult could. Trump laughs, sharp and defensive. That's nothing, he snaps. Paper doesn't mean anything. Biden nods, unbothered. Paper doesn't yell, he replies. It doesn't need to. He looks back up at Trump, calm as ever. It just waits. The audience shifts, the curiosity building, the tension changing shape. What exactly does Joe Biden have in that folder? Biden doesn't introduce anything new at first. He reaches backward instead, straight into the public record. Your own words are out there, he says calmly, not accusatory, not dramatic, just factual. He reminds the room that no leaks are needed, no anonymous sources, no secret recordings. Interviews, rallies, TV hits. Biden continues. You said them. You repeated them. The audience shifts, uneasy now, because this isn't rumor. It's memory. Biden tightens the frame. You didn't just praise your daughter, he says. You marketed her. A few gasps slip out before people can stop themselves. Biden keeps his voice level, almost restrained. You turned family into a prop, he adds, eyes locked on Donald Trump. Then you called it love. The line lands hard, not because it's shouted, but because it reframes everything that came before. He doesn't accuse, he contextualizes. That kind of language isn't accidental, Biden says. It's about power, about control, about knowing the camera is always on and using it. Trump's face tightens. He shifts in his chair, jaw set, fingers tapping, trying to interrupt but missing the beat. Trump snaps back the only way he can, by attacking Biden directly. You're pathetic, he says, voice sharp with irritation. You're lying to stay relevant. A few people laugh out of habit, then stop when no one else follows. Biden doesn't rise to it. He doesn't even blink. I don't need relevance, he replies evenly. I need answers. The contrast is stark. Trump's insult hangs in the air, hollow. Biden's response feels heavier, more permanent. The audience changes in real time. No cheers, no boos, just murmurs, people leaning forward, arms crossed, faces tight with judgment. This doesn't feel like a show anymore. It feels like testimony. Cameras linger on the crowd now, furrowed brows, uneasy glances, mouths pressed thin. Trump tries to smile it off, but it doesn't reach his eyes. It breaks in a single violent beat. Donald Trump slams his palm onto the table so hard the microphones spike and screech, a harsh crack tearing through the studio feed. "Liar!" he bellows, half rising from his chair, fingers stabbing the air like an accusation he can physically throw. Producers flash frantic cut signals from behind the cameras. Headsets light up. The moderator's voice wavers as they try to pull the room back together. Trump barrels through all of it. "This is disgusting. You should be ashamed." His face is flushed, jaw clenched tight. He's making it up. He's always made things up. The outburst isn't polished or strategic. It's raw, jagged, and everyone can feel the control slipping. He keeps going, louder and messier, words tumbling over one another. "Fake news, total fake news," he shouts again and again, as if repetition might turn denial into proof. It doesn't. The audience doesn't laugh. Nobody claps. The silence that follows each shout only makes the next one sound worse. The moderator tries again. "Mr. President, please." But Trump waves them off with a sharp, irritated flick of his hand. "End this segment," he snaps. "I'm not doing this circus." He looks toward the wings, then back at the table, torn between storming off and needing the last word. The hesitation is visible. So is the fear of leaving without control. Across from him, Joe Biden barely shifts. He doesn't rise to the volume or match the anger. "Volume isn't evidence," he says quietly, and the line slices straight through the noise. Trump spins back, ready to explode again, but Biden continues without giving him an opening. "If it's false," he adds, voice steady, "answer the timeline." No flourish, no insult. Just a demand Trump refuses to touch. The contrast is devastating. Trump's shouting suddenly feels loud and empty, next to Biden's stillness. Trump snaps back anyway, faster now, almost tripping over himself. "I don't have to answer anything," he barks. "This is a setup." He jabs at the table, then gestures wildly at the cameras. "You hear me? This is a setup." He threatens to walk again, pushing his chair back an inch, then stops. The audience murmurs, not with excitement, but recognition. This isn't confidence. It's panic dressed up as defiance. Every attempt to seize the room only shrinks it further around him. Biden lets the performance burn itself out. He watches, silent and composed, letting Trump's noise do the work against him. The more Trump talks, the more the chaos sharpens the contrast. Producers whisper urgently. The moderator's hands tremble. Then a heavy silence settles, thick, judgmental, impossible to spin. Trump stands there breathing hard, eyes darting, caught between rage and retreat. Biden remains unmoved, waiting. The meltdown has played out in full view. Trump has unraveled on camera. And Biden hasn't budged an inch. When Joe Biden speaks again, the room tightens. He doesn't raise his voice, and he doesn't hurry. He sounds like someone who has decided the noise is over. "Let's look at the timing," he says, slow and deliberate, as if he's laying pieces on a table one by one. 2009. The marriage. The image anchor. He pauses, letting the year hang there. Then the brand grows. The name gets louder. The doors open easier. Heads tilt forward across the audience, attention narrowing. Biden keeps the sequence clean and brutal. "Access follows," he says. "Titles follow. Proximity to decision-making follows." He glances at Donald Trump, then back to the camera. And then the deals follow, quietly, conveniently. Trump shifts, lips pressed thin, shaking his head before a word leaves his mouth. Biden doesn't stop. "Image," he says. "Access, leverage, profit." He pauses, then finishes it like a verdict. "Repeat." The audience murmurs, not loud, not cheering, recognizing. Trump lunges for the interruption, voice already climbing. "This is garbage," he snaps. "You're twisting everything." Biden raises one finger, not threatening, just final. "No," he says, "I'm aligning it." The moderator looks ready to cut in, then hesitates. Biden presses harder. "You don't stumble into that alignment by accident," he says. "You plan it, you protect it, you dare people to look away." Trump scoffs, laughs too quickly. "You've got nothing," he barks. "This is all smoke." Biden nods once. "Smoke follows fire," he replies. The room goes still as Biden turns the spotlight directly on Trump. "So here's your choice," he says, Voice steady, eyes locked. You can disclose. You can explain the timelines, the access, the benefits. Trump opens his mouth to shout, but Biden cuts him off without raising his voice. Or, he adds, you can keep yelling. A beat. Pick one. Facts or tantrum. The words hang there, heavy and unavoidable. Trump doesn't answer. He breathes sharp and uneven, eyes flicking toward the moderator like he's looking for a lifeline. The cameras push in tight. Sweat beads along Trump's temple. His jaw clenches, unclenches, clenches again. He's not debating anymore, he's calculating. He starts to speak, stops, swallows. The confidence that carried him in has thinned into strain, and the audience can see it. The moderator finally tries to step in, voice too polite for the moment. We need to move on. Biden doesn't look away. He keeps his eyes on Trump and delivers the line quietly without flourish. You built an empire on control, he says. Tonight you lost it. Silence drops hard across the studio. No applause rushes in to break it. No boos rescue anyone. Just the unmistakable sense that something cracked in real time, right under the lights, and everyone watching knows exactly when it happened. There's no comeback, no clever line, no last grin for the camera. Donald Trump stands up stiffly, chair scraping just a little too loud against the floor, and turns away from the table. The silence follows him like a shadow. He doesn't wave. He doesn't look back. Aides close in immediately, speaking fast and low, hands hovering as if ready to shield him from questions that aren't being asked out loud. Nobody around him looks relieved. Nobody looks victorious. The cameras catch the walk-off in fragments, tight jaw, fixed stare, shoulders tense. The headline isn't what he said on the way out. It's that he didn't say anything at all. On the other side of the stage, Joe Biden remains seated for a moment, hands folded, breathing steady. The contrast is stark. A staffer leans in, voice low, almost instinctive. Sir, are you okay? Biden looks up, expression calm, unchanged by the chaos that just passed. I'm fine, he says simply. Then after a beat, I'm more worried about what we normalized. There's no edge in his voice, no victory lap. Just a quiet statement that lingers longer than any shout. Outside the studio, the shockwave hits fast. Phones light up. Producers refresh feeds. Headlines begin to form before the cameras are even powered down. Trump's meltdown, Biden's talk of receipts, the phrase marriage cover echoing across panels and timelines. Clips loop endlessly. The table slam, the silence, the walk-off. Commentators argue about meaning. But the images don't need translation. What people remember isn't a policy dispute. It's the moment control slipped and never came back. The night ends without a lesson spelled out, without a finger wagged at the audience. Just a final image burned into memory, and a line that hangs in the air, cold and unresolved. Power survives noise. It doesn't survive scrutiny. And now it's over. But the question isn't. The cameras cut, the lights cool, and the room empties. Yet what happened under those lights doesn't disappear. Watch it again. Listen to the pauses, not the shouting. Decide for yourself who controlled the room and who lost it. If you saw something others missed, say it. Drop your take in the comments. Follow for what comes next, and stay with us. Because the fallout from this night is only just beginning.